Kia ora, I'm Donna Flavel, founder of Essences of Delight, a range of vibrational essences and affirmation cards, and a beautiful book created to help support self-awareness, self-discovery, and self-empowerment, and to help you create meaningful change in your life. So whether you're joining me for the first time or you're returning again, I'm so pleased to be here. This is the third video in my manifestation series, and today we're taking a deeper look at the step that is so often missed, finding the vision before you can create it. The first two videos introduced the manifestation essence and explored its connection to Matariki, the Māori New Year, and talked about intention and new beginnings. And you'll find these on my channel if you'd like to go back and watch them first. But manifestation, it's become one of those catch-all topics. A great deal of the focus is placed on visualizing what you want, imagining who you want to become, and feeling as though the future is already real. Now that can be and is really helpful if you already know what that picture looks like. But there's an important step that is often left out, and that's finding the vision in the first place. You may know really clearly what you don't want. You may know what is no longer working, what feels limiting, or what you are trying to move beyond. But knowing what you don't want is not always the same as knowing what you do want. Sometimes you simply can't see the next step. You might feel caught between what has been and what is yet to come. You may know that change is needed, but have no idea what that change might actually look like. It's really hard to manifest that. So when your attention remains fixed on what you are trying to leave behind, that pattern can continue to dominate your thoughts, your emotions, your choices. So this doesn't mean denying what is difficult or pretending the unwanted circumstances aren't out there. It simply means that at some point your focus needs to go somewhere new. But before you can align with a new reality, you first need to discover what that reality might be. So for that, we need clarity, we need vision, and we need an intention. And before you can manifest, you firstly have to have that intent. And sometimes all you need is a moment in time, a moment in which you become willing to pause, a moment in which you ask whether something else might be possible, a moment in which you allow your attention to shift from what you're trying to escape towards what you might be ready to create. For when you have an intention, you have a desire. When you have a desire, you can hold the vision. When you can hold the vision, you have the energy to create. And when you have the energy to create, you have the will to achieve. When you have the will to achieve, you have the ability to transform and transcend. And that progression matters. You have intent, then desire, vision, creative energy, will, transformation, and transcendence. So manifestation is not simply wishing for something strongly enough. It's not about repeatedly thinking about an outcome and waiting for it to arrive. It's the movement from uncertainty into intention, from intention into vision, and from vision into an aligned action. And the transformation happens along the way. So because as you move towards that new reality, you also begin to move beyond the beliefs and fears and the limitations that held you to the person you were before. There's a teaching that says the universe does not simply give us what we want. It often reflects the beliefs, the identity, the expectations, and the patterns we are living from. In other words, it's not enough to want something. We also need to begin aligning with it. But it's difficult to align with a vision you haven't yet found. It's difficult to embody a future you can't yet imagine. It's difficult to resonate with something when you don't yet know what that something is. And this is where the first stage of manifestation begins. Not with forcing an answer, not with pretending to be positive, but by creating an intention to remove what's been blocking your view and illuminate it with new possibilities. So you may begin by asking, what am I ready to move beyond? What is no longer aligning with who I'm becoming? What would I like to feel instead? What would greater freedom, well-being, purpose, and confidence or peace look like in my actual life? What possibility have I not yet allowed myself to even consider? You don't need to know every detail. You don't need the entire journey mapped out. You only need enough clarity to recognize the next true step. And a simple way to begin is this. First, become clear about one thing you'd like to move towards. Write it down. It may begin as a feeling rather than a finished goal. You might write, I want to feel more confident in my work. I want to create more calm at home. I want to become stronger and healthier. I want to feel clearer about my direction. I want to create something more meaningful. Writing the intention down gives it form. Secondly, share your intention with someone who will support and encourage you. Speaking it aloud helps move it from a private hope into a conscious commitment. And third, take one real step that demonstrates your willingness to move towards it. So make the phone call, create the appointment, clear the space, ask the question, and begin the practice. Choose differently. The action doesn't have to be dramatic, it simply needs to be true. And fourth, acknowledge that you've begun. Give yourself credit for taking the first step. Writing gives the intention form. Speaking it gives it energy. Action begins to embody it, and the acknowledgement anchors in that new direction. And this is the first role of the manifestation essence. It supports you when you feel thwarted, when you feel stuck, uncertain, or unable to see that way forward. It's especially helpful when you know something needs to change, but you can't quite identify what that next chapter might look like. The essence supports the intention to remove those blockages, to illuminate new possibilities, and to strengthen the will. It doesn't tell you what your future should be. It doesn't force a particular outcome. It just helps clear the pathway so that you can begin to recognize what's possible, what is aligned, and what is genuinely calling you forward. Once that vision begins to emerge, the next stage is to align with it. And this is where the essence and the affirmation card work together. Taking the essence supports the energetic shift. Reading the affirmation gives your mind and consciousness a new direction. Holding the card gives you something really visual and tangible to return to. And then your actions begin to bring the vision into form. You may begin asking, who am I becoming as I move towards this? What habits would support it? What would I stop accepting? What would I begin to make space for? This is where manifestation becomes a real resonance. You begin to think from the vision. You begin to feel into the vision. You begin to choose from the vision and act from the vision. And gradually, the reality that you're creating becomes more and more familiar with you. It doesn't mean that every outcome arrives exactly as intended, nor does it mean that every hardship is something you consciously created. Life's far more complex than that. But when your intention, your beliefs and emotions, and your actions begin moving all in the same direction, you become more able to recognize the opportunities to respond differently and create meaningful change. The manifestation essence isn't about forcing the universe to deliver a particular outcome. It's about helping you find your inner compass, opening to the unlimited potentials and possibilities the universe might bring, illuminating what's possible and helping you to align with the path that's already beginning to unfold. It helps to strip away the scripts that say, I can't, I don't know how, nothing ever changes, there's no way forward. And it begins replacing them with, I am willing to see, I am open to possibility, I can take one step, I'm becoming aligned with what I'm ready to create. And then comes the next stage. You begin to move from possibility into embodiment. From maybe I can to I know, I see, I do, I am, I create. So I know the vision begins to feel true within you. I see, you can picture it clearly and recognize the opportunities connected to it. I do. Your choices and actions begin to reflect the reality you're creating. I am. You embody the qualities, the beliefs, and the identity of the person actually living that reality. I create. It's the intention, the energy, and the action that begin working together and bringing that vision into form. This is the movement from imagining it as if it was here to allowing it to become part of who you are, and then the part of the life that you are currently living. Desire can help to reveal the vision, but if desire remains only as a longing, it can keep reminding us that what we want is missing. At some point, we need to move from wanting the vision to practicing the identity it can hold. We begin to ask not only what do I want, but who am I becoming? What do I value? How do I choose? How would I act? What would feel natural to the version of me already living in greater alignment with this vision? As this identity becomes more familiar, the choices that support the vision become more natural. The outcome is no longer something you're waiting for. It begins to emerge from the way you are thinking, choosing, and living. And we also become aware that the identity we are leaving behind, the part that says, I never succeed, nothing changes, I'm not that kind of person. Manifestation is therefore not only about calling in something new, it's about no longer rehearsing the version of yourself that keeps creating the old. Now, the manifestation essence and affirmation card support this progression. First, they help you find the vision, and then they hold it long enough for it to become familiar, not only as an idea, but as a feeling, an identity, a choice, and a lived direction. You're no longer standing outside of the vision hoping it will arrive, but you're beginning to meet it. You're participating in it. You're allowing it to become real within you until it becomes real around you. So first, find the opening. Allow the vision to emerge. Gather the energy, strengthen the will, and take the next step. And let the process transform you as you move. Even a single moment of true intent holds the power to birth your future. So the affirmation, you might like to place your hands over your heart and take a slow breath and repeat this with me. I am guided and protected. My intentions and creative seeds are manifesting into wholeness. I have clarity and I am moving forward. So may your path become clearer. May new possibilities illuminate the way ahead. May you recognize the next step when it appears. And may the vision you are calling forward become something you increasingly believe, embody, and live. And so until next time, be kind to yourself, honor your own journey, and remember, healing happens one conscious step at a time. Ngā mihi nui.